So in this video, we are really at the end of, almost the end of our schedule building. It's time for us to load our instructors. We've done our meeting times and dates. We loaded our building codes, got through that. And now it's time to load our instructor. So if you can notice down in this area, this is the instructor portal right down here. And notice that it's session indicator 1. Remember we talked earlier about if you have two ones, it's the same instructor. But session 2, if you see a 2, if you put a 2 here, you have two instructors. So I'm going to show you how to do both. So the first thing I'm going to do is tab to my ID. If I have a course ID number, if I have a faculty ID number, then it makes it a lot easier. I can do that. But most of the time you may have to search here, so we'll go into the ellipses. And you can just simply search. Okay, so we're going to search faculty, and let's just go ahead and hit go. All right, and again, if you have the ID, you can find it that way. If not, I can do even a portion of the last name and put a symbol for us, % symbol, and search. So I'm going to put in, let's see, this is speech. I'll do Wilson for speech, Melanie Wilson. And I'm going to do my %. Where are you? And that just helps. In Banner, whenever you put this little percentage sign, it helps to narrow your search and search better for you. So we're going to go in, and there she is. So it's going to pull, it pulled up all Wilsons. There's her A number. I'll highlight this, and I'm going to hit select. And there you go. It was that simple. So it's not complicated, but you need to tab, and just kind of be quick about it when you're searching. Just be very deliberate. Okay, so we know for speech it's going to be 3. So this is her instructional workload, 3 credits, and she has 100% responsibility. She's the primary teacher. So typically what's going to happen when you're doing a course that just has the one session, it'll look just like this. It'll match, everything needs to align. If it's a 4-credit course or 5-credit course, the workload will match, and a % will go in. And this is auto defaulting, so you're not having to do anything other than select the instructor's name. It's not difficult. All you're doing is selecting the instructor, and the system will do everything for you. Where it can get a little complicated is when you have a lab scenario. So remember, we were mimicking a lab scenario, session 2. So what do I do to build a new instructor? And you're right, I hit the insert button. So I'm going to go ahead and hit insert as if I had a second instructor. Change my session number to not 1, but what? Yes, you're right, 2. You get it now. Then I do the same thing. I go in. This is the page I think confuses everyone. You don't have to do anything here. Just go ahead and hit go. This used to always confuse me. Just go ahead and hit go. You need to get to that second page to search. Go to your last name. This time I'm going to put Calvin King. And put your little percentage. I always have trouble finding this on my keyboard for some reason. Where are you? There we go. And hit go. We're looking for Calvin King. It says no record, so he may not. He may not be in our system yet, which is odd. They need to fix that. Let me just double check again. He should have pulled up for us. He did. Oh, one thing I noticed there, the only difference was I just capitalized King, so this must be case sensitive. Again, I love when things like that go on because it can help us as we become more skilled at this. So I needed to capitalize King. That surprised me. Oh, it's case sensitive. We live and we learn. So here is Calvin King. I'm clicking on his ID number, and I hit select, and he should populate on that page. And he does. But you notice now the workloads are really confusing, right? So I'm mimicking here. So do not, this is speech, not a real course that would require this. But the workload would have to change, wouldn't it? Because you notice a % of responsibility. So let's go to %. So let's say that this was a lab scenario. So I would change this to 75%, right? Let's say this is a 3-credit class. and a 1 credit lab, right? So then I would change that, and I would still identify my primary person, right? And that's what I would do. Instructional workload, if it's, let's say that I don't even know if it's gonna let me change, so it's not even letting me change instructional workload. So I guess that's just a default. I don't think it's letting me change. Let me see if it's, no, it's not letting me change instructional workload because the credits are the credits. So it's not letting me do that. But the percent of those instructional workloads, that's how it's going to structure it out. Okay? There's some other areas back here that we're not even really sure about at this point. We may have to do another video about percent of session. We're still investigating this part right here. So for now, just leave this alone until we can figure that part out. But we do know that the percent of responsibility would change here, and you would indicate if that individual is the primary. Again, if you get any, as you're saving, if you get any issues, like the teacher is being overbooked, like say this was a stat class, then you would have to override the indicator. So let's say that, again, you're dealing with stat classes and the system thinks that you've overbooked Mr. King or overbooked Melanie Wilson, you can override any conflicts like that. So I'm going to, again, we're just mimicking for this practice. I'm going to actually get rid of this so we can really save a speech class. So I'm going to get rid of the fake example. I hit delete to get rid of Mr. King, and I'm going to come up here, and hopefully it'll let me go back, let me save. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my extra class. Okay, let's see if I can get to it. Let me save again. If you have any trouble moving from one page to the next, trust me, it just wants you to save. So I'm going to go to the second line and just delete. I'm just going to clean up this course. There we go. And I'm going to save. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my times and instructors. I'm trying to get back to, I may have lost my instructor for some reason. Not sure why. I'm probably just doing way too much. Let's just see what happens when it reboots for us. And we're back. So I don't know, I think it was just in a funk, just saving everything. So this is pretty much, now you're looking at the finished product for this speech class. Okay, so we have Melanie Wilson teaching it, and we have to, once I convert it back, what the system was signaling to me is that, remember when I took off Mr. King, it's saying that I don't have enough hours, so now I have to change my percent back to 100. But again, you won't have to do all this. I was just showing you a very complicated way so that you would understand how to do 2 teachers opposed to 1. And that's it. We are now finished. You can save at this point, and you are all done with creating that course. Notice that the CRN does populate. Remember when you're creating courses to always track the CRN. If you are doing this for the first time, you'll likely have an Excel sheet possibly. If not, but you do need to track CRNs as you're building them. And we, believe it or not, are done. There is a video that shows you how to do this in 1 bite. If you're interested in doing that, go ahead and watch that video. It's going to walk you through the entire building of a course from beginning to end, opposed to it being in small bites.